Hey there again, wrapping up in our four-part mini lecture series on meats. This one will come out of chapter 7, where we'll focus on byproducts of meat animals. And of course, we couldn't really have a good, valid discussion about meats without talking about those other things. What are you going to do with some of that other stuff that goes along with the slaughter of an animal? So, let's get into the content here. When we talk about edible versus inedible byproducts, if we were thinking about an 1,100-pound steer, you have this diagram here, this pie chart broken out from other different things, from tallow to inedible tallow. This one oftentimes is used in a lot of other different things, whether it's makeup or the feed business, blood meal, hides, variety meats. We're talking about hot dogs here, which I put brats and hot dogs to get you thinking about it here on the slide as well. So there are a number of different things that the number of different pounds of products that would come off an 1,100-pound steer that we would probably think about consuming. Now, what are the other things that might be included in that? Of course, the variety meats, you say, what the heck are those? And it's liver, tongue. Some of you consume some of that stuff, some of you don't. Edible byproducts like oleo, which is grease, gelatin, marshmallows, candies, sausage casing. And then we get to some of the things that aren't so edible or they are important elsewhere. Pharmaceuticals, which are super important, like epinephrine, heparin, cholesterol treatment therapies, estrogen, all the way down to other inedible byproducts like leather, cosmetics, buttons made from some of the pieces, china even. So we got a lot of different things that can be made from a steer. So we want really not to waste as much as we can. So as we think about those byproducts and what impact that they make, let's first talk about hides. And we're talking about dollars per piece of different quality. So a heavy hide back in the year 2008 was worth about $64. If it was side branded, that make sure that that drops the value just a little bit, and butt branded just a little bit less, all the way up into that peaked around 2014 and has now dropped back off. But hides are somewhat valuable for a variety of different reasons for making leather. So let's talk about exports and rendered items. So that lard that we talked about and beef and other ruminant fats, kind of what impact did they make in terms of the export market? So back in 2005, we're talking about $1.4 million of hides exported. And in 2017, just above that, almost $1.5 million. But a variety of different things in here that are all important in sustaining the livestock industry in some form or fashion. All right, I told you that would be a quick one, but we wanted to take some time and focus on those other byproduct things. You'll find some of them served in restaurants, but most of them much more common when you're talking about home slaughter. And some people really like some of those things as delicacies. And then when you get into other marketplaces and other countries, you might find some of that much more common. Like oxtail soup is very common in some foreign countries. They see that as a delicacy, and it is supposed to be rich in flavor. I can't say that I've ever had it, but it's important to recognize that that's a huge value. It's not just steaks that we're selling, but it's also all the other ancillary products that go along with it. Wrapping up here our Unit 3 with our take-home messages. I want you to make sure that and make sure and recognize that meat consumption of all types continues to rise, and that's a great thing for our animal product industry. And it's important that we maintain consumer confidence so that does continue to happen. Number two, as a producer or someone who is aiding a producer in the agribusiness sector, know the dressing percentages of various species and how you can help a producer or help yourself increase efficiency in that regard, whether it's health status, whether it's nutritional approaches, whatever it might be. Make sure you know what your dressing percentage targets are and how to improve them. Make sure you're able to identify and differentiate quality grades and yield grades and know their importance. Consumers nowadays have a very difficult time differentiating at the meat counter at the supermarket what is good quality and what is poor quality. And I can tell you, whenever they get a poor quality product, um, they assume then all of it is that way. And most folks don't know where that cut of beef or cut of pork comes from off of the animal, and then how to, like I said earlier, properly prepare it. Back in the day of the much more common local butcher shop, you would go in there and ask for a certain cut, and they could trim it right off the carcass for you, or would certainly know how it would be prepared. And that just doesn't occur in most of today's American consumer market. Make sure and be able to compare and contrast frame size with quality and yield grades. Know what an animal looks visually, and then how it's going to hang on the hook. And then lastly, be able to outline the various byproducts of meat animals and their applications, and what impact that makes on your industry. So with that, I'm going to sign off. And if, again, I wasn't able to trigger some hunger response in you, hopefully I did by now. Make sure and go out and support your meat animal industry producers. There's some great products out there. And if you haven't tried some of them, like a good lamb chop, look it up on occasion. It's something that you'll enjoy. Thanks for tuning into this section. I look forward to interacting with you both in lab and in class. Have a great day.